Yo, what's going on, y'all? Joe Johnston here from Speaker Scale, and I am here with the great and illustrious Miss Ivy Watts, who has been working with us here at Speaker Scale for probably about 4 or 5 months now, somewhere around there. I think
Yeah.
September is when we started. So yeah, Ivy, let me kind of turn things to you. If you want to just kind of introduce yourself, talk a little bit about the work you
Yeah.
do, and then talk a little bit about when we initially started and when you joined Speaker Scale, kind of where the business was at and what kind of prompted you to hop in with us, and then we'll get into where things are at today.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a mental health speaker. I share my story of my own struggle with my mental health. And historically, I've worked in the athletic space. I was a student athlete myself. So I worked a lot with student athletes and coaches and really empowering them to take care of themselves and practice mental wellness and reach out for help. And in the past couple of years, I've gotten more into the corporate space, but really felt there was a block in getting in there. I kept saying over and over, I want to get into the corporate space. I want to get into the corporate space, but I never really actually knew how. And I knew that, my work would translate really well into the corporate space in terms of talking about mental health and burnout and stress reduction and helping with those practical tools while folks are in the workplace and overwhelmed. And it was just actually perfect timing that I connected with you all and got that message. And I think it was just a really great synergy to like connect and hear about the ways that you were going to be able to get me into that corporate space. And I have no regrets at all. So it's been really great to be able to be like finally like get the thought out of my head and actually like put action behind it.
I love it. Talk to me about as well where your business was at in terms of obviously you were primarily, and you still do a lot of business in the college space now, right? But you were primarily at that point, all of your lead, it felt like, from our conversations, all your leads, most of your experience, your marketing, that stuff had been in the college world, right?
Yeah.
Student athletes, different
Mhm.
departments focused on the mental health, and you were doing well there, right? But it was like, hey, I
Yeah.
know I'm at this cap and I know there's more to grow. So help me understand as well, like what your lead flow looks like and how you were getting gigs at that point. Because I remember in our conversations as well, it was like, hey, a lot of it was just like you'd go, you'd speak, you get referrals, and like that was good. You'd built a sustainable business off of that. But when it came to doing some of the proactive outreach and having a structure around that to actually go get gigs, in any space, that's sort of where you were lacking. So talk to us again, like what the main client acquisition source was again when you came to us in that in the
Yeah.
college space, and then we'll get into some of the work that we've done together, and where your lead flow has been the biggest thing for you that's just gone through the roof that's led to
Right.
opportunities. But yeah, tell us a little bit about that and that transformation over the past couple months.
Yeah, definitely. So I think I spent a lot of my weeks like praying for emails to come in. And a lot of times it would. And, I was in a space where I built my business off of, those incoming messages and also just through word of mouth of just kind of creating my name for myself as a mental health speaker, specifically in the college space and in the athletic space. And so that really was the space that I was getting all of my income from, all of my leads from. And I think I would send messages out. I just never knew how to create a message that was like concise enough and clear enough that captured what I did. And it felt like I was sending these super long emails and I didn't know if they were landing. And a lot of times I'd get silence back. So they probably weren't landing. Sometimes they worked, but for the most part, it's like 98% of my business was through word of mouth, and folks finding me through doing a search. But I really struggled with that outbound.
Beautiful. I love it. And then let's get into some of the work that we've done together because I think obviously, and I remember it was like you were working on the marketing, the branding, going through that kind of first
Yeah.
month of work. And I remember like you were just ahead of the game because you just came in and you told me you're like, Joe, I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna hit the route, gun running. And I still remember like at the end of our first month call, you were like, oh, by the way, I started that outreach thing and I've got like 3 calls booked and I got like these positive responses. Like it's going pretty well. And I was like, wait, what? Like, hold on, let's pause a little bit here. I was like, you already started, first of all. Two, oh yeah, I've been doing a week. Like I think it's going pretty well. And I was like, what? And it feels like literally since then, it's just I mean, it feels like every week, there's a new opportunity, there's a new win, whether it's, oh, I got this
Yeah.
big call with XYZ company, which everyone would know, or I got this deal that just went through
Right.
for this amount. So let's get into like the nitty gritty of like the outreach. So you started that in the corporate world, mainly on LinkedIn has been a huge platform. You've also, the big thing that as well, Ivy, is your content's been great. From day one,
Mm,
you've taken that kind of leap, been vulnerable with your content with the topics that you talk
hmm
about. And so,
hmm
yeah, let's talk a little bit about like the work that you've done from the lead flow, the lead generation perspective, outbound, and some of the results that you've been seeing from that on a daily, weekly basis.
Yeah, I think the thing about me, right, is like once I get the information, even if it feels a little overwhelming, I'm like, I want to dive in. It's like again, I had the thought in my head, now I had action behind it, and I had, proven results from all the videos you had sent. So I'm like, okay, now I want to dive in. And so that's why I took like such that proactive approach. And quite frankly, I didn't even know that I like wasn't supposed to start. Like I thought that's like I'll go through the course and just start doing the the outreach. And because I sent you the expert position statement and I'm like, okay, we're good to go. And I mean, it's been incredible, having a goal of having what, like a 5% positive response rate, and the first month of doing it and having a 20%, 30% positive response rate. And then having like 60% call to book rate, and supposed to be at 20%. So it was incredible to be able to see, how I could turn something of like, I know the work that I do, but I don't know how to say it in a way that's concise and clear and get people to want to have a call with me, create a statement that I'm sending out to folks and getting those responses back. And I think, and then knowing how to book the call after and what to do on that call as well, and how to have those conversations to then lead to some bookings. Has been really incredible too. So I think just like learning the way to do the process and streamlining the process and like that motivation behind it as well has been helpful. And then I think too, like the content piece, when I first listened to those videos in the course about how much content you should be posting, when I kind of was in the space where I was like anti-content because it was like so much work. But it was like, oh, 3 to 5 times a week. And it's like, oh my gosh, that just such feels like such a chore. But then I think when you see the impact it has, I think even there was a woman I had messaged and she read my message, she never responded. But then I put up a post and it was about a divorce party that I had and how you can celebrate even some of the toughest endings in your life. And she wrote how it really resonated with her. So then I sent a follow-up message to her and said, thanks so much for commenting on my post. Like, would love to see if you'd like to get on a call and discuss how we might be able to work together. And that led to a call. So that for me was just a reminder of like how much the content really matters. And even if people aren't always engaging with it, like they're seeing it and they're seeing that you're an expert in what you're talking about and want to book you. So I think all those pieces together I was resistant to before, but I think now like learning the value behind it has been really helpful to be like, I have to keep going and like I want to keep going.
It makes it easier when you get that positive feedback loop too, right? Like the toughest part is like, and again, you got that like positive feedback loop quick where you did the actions and then the results came back very quickly. But I think the hardest part for a lot of folks is like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm trudging along, I'm seeing a little stuff yet, but maybe I haven't got that result, whatever that looks like, excuse me, in terms of like conversations or call booked or deals booked. But it's like we've talked about, and now you're at the point, 3, 4 months in where like all these deals are just kind of falling from the outreach and stuff that because it takes time,
Mhm.
right? Okay, you booked the call 2, 3 months ago. Okay, there's an opportunity, some fall through. That's annoying. But then you're getting to the point where it's like, oh, this one closed. Oh, this one closed. Ooh, collecting that deposit. Ooh, working with the contract there. And it's like, oh, this is easy. I'm just going to keep doing this, right? I'm going to keep
Right.
doing it. I'm going to keep getting better at it. Now we're looking at how do we start to scale it? You're getting to that point where it's like bringing on team members and obviously new
Mhm.
levels, new devils, right? Now you have to, okay, now I got to hire a team and train them. And so there's
Yeah.
different pieces to it. But when you get that positive feedback loop of, oh, I've been posting content consistently. I've seen the results in terms of calls booked, in terms of conversations like with this lady
Right.
that you just mentioned. Sure, I'm just gonna keep doing it. It makes it
Yeah.
easier to keep doing it from a psychological perspective for sure. As we wrap up here, Ivy, I'd love to hear just a little bit of like, if you want to share numbers, feel free, like in terms of like where your business is at now and really where you're on track to go, right? And I think we've kind of chatted about when we see is like your potential and where things are going. But I guess just really how things are different now from before when you came to us, right? In terms of the feel of the business, in terms of the consistency, financials, in terms of like just where things are at and what the future really looks like for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think that working with you and Speaker Scale has definitely increased like my confidence in being able to get more into the corporate space and like my confidence in my fees and like stating my fees and also just like navigating the conversations around like budgets and getting to the point where you're actually getting a signed contract. And I think that's been just so incredibly valuable for me. And so, definitely I think the, belief as well in me from you and everyone at Speaker Scale has also motivated me as well and wanting to, double my income for this year. And I think, we're on track to do that. And excited that I'm already bringing in income for the beginning of 2025 that I wouldn't have had from these companies. So, just landed a really big $16,000 gig, which I'm excited about, and a couple of smaller ones. So just really excited about, where it's going to go. I have so many more calls on the calendar of things that I'm really hopeful will close. And I think I now just have the tools to make that happen. So yeah, it's been an invaluable journey that I am just so thankful for the course, for your support, for all of the education that you provided and the ways that you've like uplifted me too in this process.
Yeah, and it goes right back to you, Ivy. And I remember, very distinctly when we were even on your like initial couple sales calls where you were coming into the program. And I remember the thing you kept coming back to was like, obviously the financial return, and I'm excited for that, and I'm confident the thing you kept saying was the impact, the impact, the
Yeah.
impact, the impact. You were like, it's just so crazy. I'm seeing all these testimonials, and obviously, yes, I'm going to increase my income, which is great, and you are, but you're like, there's so much more that I can impact with my message. And I think that's
Right.
been something that just throughout the process, it's like, hey, the financial return's great, but like you can really tell with the speakers who are just in it for the money and the speakers
Yeah.
who, which I think a lot of speakers are at their core, are really in it for the impact with their message and the ability to change lives and change
Yes.
those who may have been struggling like they once were, right? And to impact them with their message. And that's the other thing I tell clients too. I'm like, hey, when you come from a place of service and impact, it's easy to do the outreach. It's easy to do the content
Right.
because it's just like, hey, do you need my message? Because I have a message that changes lives and there's someone that you have that whose life I can
Yes.
change. It's our duty then to get up and do the work even
Yeah.
when we don't want to, right? So
Right.
again, I just want to go right back to you is like you from day one have just been you've gone after it. You follow the process, and the process has worked perfectly, right? It's hit, everything's gone good. It's like everything's been as smooth as it can. There's been bumps along the way, but like for the most part, it's been really, really smooth in terms of like your experience and in terms of like the results and that stuff. But that all comes back to the point is like, even the fact that you're like, oh, 5% positive response rate. It's like you can tell you've done the course, you've done the listening, you watch the
Yeah.
group call recordings even when you can't make them, and all while also being a single mother, right, and having a daughter to take care
Yeah.
of while also running this business and growing this business. So it's really
Yeah.
inspiring, and it's folks like
Thanks.
you that drive this the our success and what we do.
Mhm.
So I love it. I love it. Well, we're excited. Where can everyone kind of go to find you, connect with you? I know you're big on LinkedIn. I know your website's
Mhm.
really awesome. If folks want to kind of connect, say hi, potentially have a speaking engagement, or just sort of connect with you, where can they follow along with your journey?
Yeah, for sure. So on LinkedIn, Ivy Watts, and then on Instagram, Ivy Watts Speaks. Same with Facebook, and then on YouTube, the same thing, Ivy Watts Speaks. So that's where you can find me.
Beautiful.
Look for
Building
me
out the
in
YouTube.
yellow, smiling. If it's not me in yellow, then it's not me. Yeah.
That's not it. And always smiling and always happy. And
Yeah.
would you say I don't drink coffee. I'm fueled by love, right?
Yep.
With the
That's
energy.
exactly what it is. Yeah.
I
And
love
that's
it.
why my message resonates, right? Because I'm going off of love.
Totally, totally. From the heart. We love it. You're a heart-centered leader. Well, thank you, Ivy. Thank you all so much. Joe Johnston here from Speaker Scale, and we will chat with you all soon.